Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Special welcome to all of our high school students who are with us today. It should be an exciting afternoon, and we appreciate y'all coming out. We appreciate all of the hosts for the individual tables for their time as well, and also Pam. Can't thank you enough for how much you put into this, and Elizabeth as well. Thank you so much. All right, a couple of announcements. Next Thursday, we have our monthly coffee and conversation. This month, it's at Leopard Forest Coffee. I believe that's in Travelers Rest. We always seem to go to Jenny's side of town for these. I don't know why that is. In 2 weeks, we've got Benny Harris, who is the president of USC Upstate, and we're also asking that you bring groceries for our bag packing or backpack packing for Alexander Elementary for spring break. Jenny or somebody will hand you a little list here as a reminder that you can take home with you. That's the only way I ever get them because I'll leave it laying around and magically the groceries will appear in my car. So highly recommend you grab one of those on your way out. And then on the 27th, we have our after hours meeting, which if you haven't joined us for an after hours club, they're really fun. They're always like a sold out show. We meet at Local Q, which is across from Outback on Orchard Park Drive, 5:30 on Thursday, the fourth Thursday, which this month is the 27th. And we'll hear briefly from Natalie Buck. Natalie's from Rebuild Upstate, which is one of our service partner projects where we build the access ramps onto homes in need. Okay. If you bow your heads for me. As we gather today in fellowship, let us take a moment to reflect on the power of compassion in our service. Service is more than just an action. It is a reflection of the heart. When we serve with compassion, we don't just meet needs, we uplift spirits, restore hope, and strengthen communities. True service sees beyond circumstance and recognizes the inherent worth of every individual. May we approach our work today with kindness, understanding, and a willingness to listen. May our hands be ready to help, our words be filled with encouragement, and our hearts remain open to the needs around us. And let us be mindful that even in the smallest act of compassion, we can create ripples of change. May we go forth in service and purpose. Would you please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. We've got a great group here today. My name is Anne Marie Schell, and it's my privilege to welcome the following guests. Please stand when your name is called. Amber Crane, Matthew Hoffman, Mac McLean, Ben Rosenberger, Junmo Cho. And visiting Rotarian today is David Goff. Thank you all for being here.
Hi, guys. This is my personal favorite meeting of the year. It's awesome to have so many promising young leaders here with us. Thank you for coming. We want to thank Greenville Technical College for sponsoring today's event. The college is covering the cost of your lunches and your parking if you have it, covering the cost for the students, counselors, parents, and guests. We also want to thank, please stand and wave your hand when your name or group is called. No need to applaud until we're done. Elizabeth House and Katie Farmer with the Greenville County Public Schools. They aren't here today, but they got the word out to the students, parents, and chaperones. So students and parents from Greenville County Public Schools, you want to stand for a second? Oh, come on, I know you're here. Jean Shu from Greenville Tech's Charter High School. Where's Jean? And her colleague, Karen Rogers. So I have to tell you a little story. Yesterday morning, Jean and I were emailing, and I said something about the event tomorrow, today. And she emailed back, I thought it was Wednesday. I just about had a heart attack, but She's a miracle worker. She pulled it out. She got everybody here. And the really good news is all the kids can stay until 3. Because of the rain, you don't have to be back early for sports. So everybody gets to stay in their discussion group till 3. So yay, yay, Jean. Allie Stone from Christchurch and Bartley Sides are here with their students. You guys want to stand up and wave? There they are. Marjon Ford from Legacy Early College isn't here, but her colleagues Jessica Auguste, did I say that right? And LaShawn Haynes are. You guys here? Way back here. All right. The Rotary greeters who helped everyone find their way to the ballroom and a seat. Amazing job. The Rotarians who volunteer to host roundtable discussions, and all of you students who found your way here and are going to have a great afternoon. I will say this more than once. Students, the swag on the table or in your chair is for you. You should have, I thought there was one. Oh, here we go. You should have one of these. You should have a pen from Amy Randall. You should have information about Rotary Youth Exchange that Mathilde will talk more about, and material about RILA, which is youth leadership, which happens at Erskine College. Mathilde will tell you more about that. We're fortunate today to hear from Rotary members and guests about their career paths and give us some pearls of wisdom. Our member, Mathilde Knowles, prepared them. Mathilde is Vice President for Student Services at Greenville Tech. She got them ready, and Amy Wood, news anchor for Channel 7 News, will be interviewing them, giving each of the panelists about 3 minutes. Before they start, Mathilde will give you a little information about today's sponsor, Greenville Tech.
Thank you, Pam, and welcome again to everyone who's here today. This is definitely one of the best events for the Rotary Club of Greenville. And I want to take just a moment, just probably about 90 seconds, to highlight Greenville Technical College. And some of you might be aware, some of you are here from the charter high schools on our Barton campus, but others of you may not be aware that we're the only public college based in Greenville. And there are other colleges here in part, but we're the only public college based in Greenville. We are accredited by the same accrediting body as all the major universities in our state. And so that means we have the best faculty, and just like some of the other universities. But at Greenville Technical College, you can save on tuition. You get to enjoy smaller class sizes, and transferring credits is easy. A lot of students start as dual enrollment and then continue on and transfer to another university, college or university. And also, we have a lot of financial support that you might not be aware of that is unique to technical colleges in our state. And so I wanted to highlight that and invite you, whenever you get a chance, to come and tour one of our campuses if you haven't. Oh, and before I forget, I want to echo, Greenville Tech provided these wonderful giveaway swag bags. Please, if you're a student, take yours with you. You should have had one in your seat. It's a bag, a water bottle, and a lanyard. So we are excited to have you enjoy that and take it with you. So we have nearly 100 academic programs. So pretty much every interest that's at these tables here today is somehow available to you in courses and sometimes full programs at Greenville Technical College. Advanced Manufacturing and Transportation, School of Arts and Sciences, where you can get all your general education out of the way, School of Business and Computer Technology, Engineering, Technology, and Professional Studies, School of Health and Economic Development and Corporate Training, where you can take non-credit courses. And so if you're interested in either getting started right now or getting more information, you can just scan this QR code and it'll take you directly to the information on our website. And so at Greenville Tech, it's not just an education, it's a working education. A lot of what we offer at Greenville Technical College leads straight to jobs, and as I mentioned earlier, or transfer. So that's it for Greenville Tech. I want to highlight some opportunities available through Rotary. The first is the Service Above Self Scholarship. And I'm excited to share about this incredible opportunity with you, the Service Above Self Scholarship. This scholarship is designed for students who have a strong interest in volunteering and also have a financial need for a scholarship. If that sounds like you, listen up. The Service Above Self Scholarship offers $2,500 per year for 4 years for a total of $10,000. This can make a significant difference in your college journey, helping you focus on your studies and your passion for service without worrying as much about finances. The application is available online and is due by March 14th. If you're interested, make sure you check out, there's a little flyer on your table with a QR code and scan that, and that'll take you directly to the application page for the Service Above Self Scholarship. Now, remember, this scholarship is not just about financial support. It's about recognizing and encouraging your commitment to making a positive impact in your community through volunteering. So I hope many of you will consider applying for this fantastic opportunity. Also, more opportunities through Rotary Youth Exchange. And so I want to talk to you about this incredible opportunity. It could really change your life. So have you ever dreamed of living abroad in another country, experiencing a new culture, and making lifelong friendships? Well, Rotary Youth Exchange, sometimes you'll hear it referred to as RYE, might be just what you're looking for. So this is an amazing study abroad program that gives young people just like you the chance to spend a few weeks or even a full year living in another country with a host family, attending school, and immersing yourself in a whole new way of life. This opportunity is available both before and after high school graduation. To qualify, you need to be between 15 and 18 and a half years old, academically above average, open-minded, and willing to embrace new experiences. If you've shown leadership in your school and community and want to represent your country as an ambassador, this could be the perfect fit for you. The best part? Local Rotary clubs generously host students, providing room and board with a caring host family, free school attendance, and even a small monthly allowance. The costs vary from country to country, but participants are responsible for airfare, insurance, travel documents, and extra spending money. So if you're excited about the idea of Rotary Youth Exchange, reach out to the Youth Exchange Chair for your local Rotary District 7750. They'll be able to guide you and your parents through the process and help you decide if this life-changing experience is right for you. So are you ready to embark on the adventure of a lifetime? Get in touch with us today and let's make your dreams of studying abroad a reality. Finally, I want to share with you about what you'll hear us refer to as RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. So how would you like to have a week of fun while making new friends from all over Western South Carolina as you develop your leadership and teamwork skills? If that sounds interesting to you, consider applying for the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, also known as RYLA. RYLA is a program designed for rising juniors and rising seniors that focuses on developing leadership skills. It involves seminars, workshops, and team building activities aimed at empowering participants to become effective leaders in their community. This year, RYLA will be held at Erskine College from Sunday, June 8th through Friday, June 13th. During the week, you'll have the opportunity to hear from inspirational speakers, work in small groups with a counselor to do projects, and compete with other groups. In addition, RYLA graduates are eligible for a $5,000 per year scholarship to Erskine College should they elect to attend and are accepted to Erskine. If you're interested in this fun and rewarding experience, you must have your school counselor complete a recommendation for you and submit it to a Rotary Club by April 25th. Let your school guidance counselor know if you would like to be considered for this opportunity. If you are accepted for the RYLA program, our Rotary Club of Greenville will sponsor 2 students at no cost to you. At your table, you have a detailed RYLA fact sheet that looks like this. You should see that at your table. Use this information to get started on your leadership journey today. Thank you for your attention, and we hope to see you at RYLA. So at this time, I'm excited to turn things over to Amy Wood, and we're going to invite up Amy and our esteemed panelists. She'll get them introduced to you, and we'll kick off our career day. Amy?
So exciting. Thank you. Thank you, Mateo. And thank you, Greenville Tech. Here we go. I'm not Oprah. but I'm going to try to do my best Oprah today. All right, let's get our panel to come on up, guys, and grab a chair. We're going to have a little conversation. We're not going to be as fun as Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl, but we're going to try to have a good time and get the TikTok generation interested in what we are talking about, because we're going to keep it brief, run through a little bit about everyone's background, and then we are going to talk to everyone about their career successes, missteps, the way they kind of had interesting paths. All right, so let's welcome to the stage. We've got Albert Blackman. He's over there on your far left. He is with Michelin these days.
University of South. I'm with USC Lancaster today, so that's what I'm doing now. So
I looked at your LinkedIn, so that's my problem. I LinkedIn, guys, you need to get on LinkedIn too. That's another place to build your and keep it updated. Yes. But Albert has had an interesting career journey, and he has done a lot of different things. So we're going to hear from him. We've also got a financial planner on the stage. This is Walter Kivett, and he's the vice president and portfolio manager at Morgan Stanley. Is that correct? That's also from LinkedIn. I know that. Oh, there you go. He's updated. And then we've got Michelle. She is Michelle Covington, the executive director of the Greenville programs for USC Upstate and a professor of criminal justice. Is that correct? So there's so many different folks. I talked to some of the law and criminal justice kids over there and the communications people. We've got a lot of different interests. Always fascinating to find out. So let's start off with Albert and let him set the record straight about where he's been and what he's up to with your career. You've had an interesting path.
well, thank you. First of all, I've never worked for Michelin in my life, so I'm not sure whose profile you were looking at with that one. But if it wasn't a handsome black guy, I don't know who you were looking at. So, all right, the way I started my career was actually with Southern Bell here in Greenville, South Carolina. So I started with Southern Bell, went to Bell South, then we changed over to AT&T. I left when we changed over to AT&T to go work for Time Warner Cable. And at that point, I decided, you know what? If money wasn't an issue, what do I really want to do? And there were three things. I wanted to own my own business, so I owned a staffing company. I wanted to be a state trooper in South Carolina, which I did in Lancaster County and Chesterfield County. And I did that because I could drive faster than anyone else, which was pretty cool. The key word was 10-0. Anytime you went 10-0, you were in a chase. So I'd go, yep, Trooper Blackman 10-0, and I'd be going in the car going, yes, I got him. And the last one would be teaching at the university. So that's what I do now. I teach business classes at the University of South Carolina, Lancaster. So.
Over to Walt.
Yes. So after I got out of school with a couple of degrees, I went to work for a industrial computer manufacturing company. And I quickly found out that I knew very little about engineering, even after all my degrees. So they quickly put me into a sales position. And I was there for 15 years where we designed, developed, manufactured industrial computers. So I did all those things. I just didn't actually have to do the real work designing and developing. Then I made a career switch after about 15 years for some various reasons, and we can go into later. But now I'm a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. And I believe that this is where I was led to be and where I'm supposed to be. I've been there for 20 years. And this kind of career gives me the flexibility and the opportunity to do things with my family and with other youth that I couldn't do otherwise. I'm also a scoutmaster for a scout troop, and that keeps me quite busy.
All right. So I am the executive director of Greenville programs for USC Upstate. So I direct our Greenville campus, which is at the University Center of Greenville at McAllister Square. And then I am also on faculty as professor of criminal justice. So most of my work, and I think I'm going to be hanging out over here this afternoon. So most of my topical work, my discipline work has been in criminal justice. I'm not sure entirely how I ended up there. I grew up in a very rural area. No one had been to college. I was a first generation college student, pretty under-resourced family. So if you want to talk about needing financial aid and things like that, I'm probably your girl for that too. I did, but the whole story is too long to tell, but somehow step by step, I ended up where I am now. And it is a great career. Being a college faculty member is a great career. Of course, everything has ups and downs, but there's a lot of autonomy, which I think is really valuable and something that we don't think of a lot. And So yeah, it's great. It's a great place. Don't plan to go anywhere.
All right, let's start off. We're going to start with Michelle and ask a really important question, which is, have you ever had a lucky break? Like, what do you think was your luckiest break that helped you get where you are today?
I think I've had a lot of lucky breaks. But I will say there have been a few turning points in my career where really we talk a lot about the importance of saying no to things. You can't say yes to everything. You have to say no. I think sometimes you have to go out on a limb and know when to say yes also. And so there have been a couple really big turning points. When I was in the master's program in Columbia, I went in and I said, I'm going to go into victimology. Really had no idea what I was going into because I ended up in the master's program because I finished my undergrad degree. And I said, now what should I do? What am I good at? I'm good at school. I'll keep doing that. Not a good reason to go to graduate school, but it worked out for me. So I got there. I said, I'm going to study victimology. I'm going to be a victims advocate, work with victims. But one of the professors offered me an opportunity to assist him on some research, and it was in policing. It was working with the Criminal Justice Academy and gathering some data, doing some research that was policing related. And I had never considered anything policing related in my life, but it was a good opportunity, and I just kind of took the leap. And it really turned everything for me. I ended up going into law enforcement before I went back to school. I served with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office as a deputy before I went back for my PhD, and that has given me a lot of really valid experiences that help me with teaching people who want to go into law enforcement. So I think, I think make sure you're paying attention to those times where maybe it wasn't in line with what you thought your plan was, but it's an opportunity that you should say yes to.
Lucky breaks. Quite a few, probably too numerous to talk about. But one thing about lucky breaks is you never expect them. They come unexpectedly, and you have to make that decision on whether to take it or not. Sometimes you get some lucky breaks and they may not be productive to your career or what you really want to do. And I think you need to really sit down and think about that and follow your heart and make some honest inspection of yourself. Is this what I want to do? And is this where I want to go? And is this the best place for me to be?
Lucky breaks, and also, can we make lucky breaks happen? In other words,
Ab-
can you create them in your
Absolutely. And here's what I would suggest. And this is a very personal question for me because I don't consider myself lucky. I do consider myself extremely blessed. And because of my religious background, being a Christian, I really do rely on prayer to help me get there. But I'll tell you one of the things that I feel that God has set me up for, and that's the education. It's to get your education while you can, while you're young, and while you're capable of studying and not going to sleep, like some of us adults will do. But I have an undergraduate from USC. I have a master's degree from Winthrop University, which was paid for by Bell South. I didn't pay a dime for any of that, including the books. So setting yourself up for the right position that you don't know exist or could exist in the future, I think would be the most key thing. And that way you will be just as blessed as I am when it comes to things like that, because I would have never guessed that I would have been a state trooper, for instance. My first major in college was criminal justice, and I realized, wait a minute, they don't make much money, and I could get shot. No, how can I find a job that I can make some money? Oh, business. Yes, I'll major in business. And that's how I came up with that particular degree. But the point there is, I think you can set yourself up for those lucky breaks by making sure that your educational background and your pedigree has that already established for you.
I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome. You guys kind of know what I'm talking about, where you feel like you just maybe are in a room you don't belong in, or you're not sure, what's going on. Have you guys ever felt that way in your career, whether it was like when you were first thinking about going to college, or maybe when you made your switch and, became in a totally different career path? Talk a little bit about how you handle that feeling in your life and get past it.
Yes. Real talk. Yes, I experience imposter syndrome pretty much every day of my career. And part of that may be coming from, a rural undersourced family where, it wasn't the norm, to go to college and have a professional career and that sort of thing. But I think that's something that pretty much everybody I know well enough to talk about this with experiences. I think the people you surround yourself with are really, really important. It took me longer than it should have to realize that you have to have something to combat those thoughts and those ideas. You have to have people around you who you can trust. It doesn't have to be a ton of them, but you need at least a couple, right? Around you, kind of cheering you on and reminding you. I have a friend who comes across the hall to my office regularly, and I'll say something, maybe that's not that positive about myself. And she said, if I was in this situation, what would you say to me? And it's always different, right? So, yeah, I think it's very common, but you have the right people around you as much as you can control that. And it makes a big difference.
Yes, I've done a couple of impostering. First one was out of high school going to college. I was not a great student. I was okay. I didn't make honor roll or anything. And I decided to go into engineering, and the counselors looked at me and said, maybe you ought to try something else. And there's some other colleges you can get into. That's kind of hard. So, and I realized that my first class, I took a computer class, and I'd never even seen a computer. I learned to type on a typewriter. Yeah, I'm kind of old. And I got there and I couldn't figure out how to turn on the computer for about 20 minutes. So that was kind of hard. So I was impersonating being an engineer, and I thought that I could do this. And what helped get me through that was just a drive and determination, because I didn't have any other choices. I looked at it and I said, if I don't do this and I don't become successful at this, then I'm going to have to go back home and live with my parents and get a job delivering papers or whatever I could do. So that was a big motivator on that. And the second one was my career change. So I went from being in an industry of computers and electronics, industrial computers. I worked with all types of different industries, healthcare, oil and gas. So I had a very wide exposure to everything that was out there. I worked internationally as well as domestically. And I decided that I needed a career change. And I picked one where I said, I want to do something where I can help other people, because I was tired of helping the company. And I was tired of the company. And so I wanted to do something not only that would be fulfilling for myself, but fulfilling for other people and helping them. And I had no idea really what I was getting into. My first career, I probably worked, I know I worked 50 hours plus a week in that career for about 15 years. I didn't know that I was going to get a new career and I was going to be working 70 hours a week. I got my pay cut in half when I started out and was working almost more than I really worked before. I spent a lot of time morning and at night praying over this career decision. Is this where I really need to be? And God has really opened the doors for me. That's more of my lucky breaks than anything, and has helped me to be really successful in this. So what I did to overcome that syndrome, if that's what it is I really look for people that knew more than me. I looked for people that had been through it before, asked a lot of questions, got a lot of training, as much training as I could from anywhere that I could, and just kept getting reinforced that, yes, this is where I need to be. Little successes, one little step at a time, and helped me determine, yeah, that's really what I need to be doing.
I'm just so glad I'm last on all these questions, because you asked some tough questions. Imposter. Absolutely. It happens all the time, even today. How many of you knew which glass was yours today as far as the water and the tea is concerned? I mean, if you do your hand like this is for the drink and this is for the bread. Yes, I know that trick, but I didn't always know that trick, right? And most of you probably know this, but I didn't when first time I went to a formal dinner and saw the tables, like, we don't eat this way in my house. I haven't seen all of this silverware. So yeah, it happens all the time, and it's going to happen in your career as well. You sometimes really do have to just sit there and go, I don't know what's going on here, but you're not alone. There are plenty of people in that position. No one grew up with all of these skills. No one. It takes maturity to realize that, though. It takes a while for you to realize, well, wait a minute. I'm not stupid. I just don't know. That doesn't make me stupid. That just makes me curious, and I need to find out. Now, you know, from now on, whenever you sit at a table, make your little B for your breakfast and your D, or not breakfast, B for bread and D for drink, and you'll know which drink's yours. That way you'll be able, dude, you're drinking my drink.
Albert wants you to leave his drink alone. All right, let's talk about take yourself back to these guys, this stage of life. And there is a mixture, I'm assuming, in everyone of absolute excitement about the future. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting there. I'm almost out of high school, or I am graduating this year and I'm going to do the next thing. But it's also terrifying, right? There's a little terror under the surface. How did you guys lean into the excitement and sort of push the fear away? Do you remember like what you did to kind of get ready? Was there a certain thing you did or a decision you made coming out of high school that really set you up for success?
No, probably. I had no idea what I was doing. But I will say that I think that knowing that, acknowledging that, and being okay if that's where you are in life is also important. Because I did some imposter work and kind of tried to pretend like I knew what I was doing. When now I would probably just ask more questions. So I definitely didn't know what I was doing then, but from this perspective, now having been a professor for so many years, now I can see how common that is, right? Our students come in and they don't know what they're doing, and then they may change majors and they may change back, and they may have a bad semester and make a comeback, So yeah, I had a rough go of it. I started college and quit several times. I quit and joined a restaurant company, opening new stores around the company to go find myself. So it was my career path was very convoluted. But I think that I learned a lot from all of those experiences. So if you are not at the place where you think I definitely know where I want to end up, that's okay too, as long as you're collecting things along the way for yourself.
Yes, when I was your age and coming out of high school, I was scared to death. I came from my class size was 120. We're a small rural town in Kentucky. There was 120 of us, and maybe 25 or 30 of us were going to college. The rest were staying there. And so I really didn't know anybody. I went to the big college. I went to the University of Kentucky. At the time, there were 24,000 people there. That's a big change. What I did was I looked for friends. I had to get some friends because I didn't know anybody there. I knew some older people that had been through our school, but they didn't want to have anything to do with me. Okay. Because I was somebody else. But I looked for friends. I tried to find people in my class that I could connect with. And from that developed lifelong friendships with them. Some of them were in my major, some were not. But that was very important key was to develop those relationships, not only with those people that were in my major, but with people that were external. And from that, I got a lot of support in what I was doing, even when the dean called me into his office and it wasn't for good grades, it was for bad grades, and said, you better get your grades straightened up or you're going to be out of this school. And that again was a motivator for me. Fear should not be a motivator, but unfortunately, sometimes it is. And it depends on how you channel it and what you do with it and how you control it to help guide what you're going to do and what you can do to be successful.
Very similar to what Walt had mentioned earlier. I wasn't the ideal student in college. I played tennis. That's what I was focused on, was making that pro career, which never happened. Okay. But I did go to school on a tennis scholarship, so that was pretty cool. But here's the deal. Here's what I did. Number one, if I could go back to tell myself some things to do, if I were your age, I'd first say, don't marry the first woman that I married. I would wait for the second wife. But in addition to that, I will tell you that mine's a little bit different story too than yours, because I knew if I just could buckle down for 4 years and get this over, I'd be okay. That was my motivation, truly was. I did not like college, and I've told students that in my class. I didn't like college. So you guys have a huge advantage. I'm going to make it really easy for you, but you've got to do the work. So my motivation was, let's just get this over with. So I did it in 4 years and got it over with and started working for Southern Bell. So that's how I did. And that was my motivation.
If you could do one thing differently, is there something that you would, for sure not do again? Or I know the one thing Albert would go with, but yeah.
To be fair, I would echo Albert's point as well. Um, I wish that I had been more aware of my value and more willing to stick up for myself rather than worrying so much about what everyone else thought. My PhD is actually in sociology, so I can tell you for a fact that it's built into us. We're going to care what other people think to some extent. We can't make that go away completely. But when I was younger, I focused on that a lot. And if I was in your seat now, that's one thing I would say, maybe spend a little quiet time thinking about that. Is that a problem for you? And maybe thinking about all of the value that you have. We all bring different things to the table. We all bring something to the table. So, yeah, I wish I had been a little more aware of that.
I'd say at your age, my advice and something I would have done differently is to seek competent advice in a career field or what I wanted to do. And the reason gets to be when I made my career change, I utilized paid services by Miles and Ann Golden. Miles was a member here at this club, and they really helped me to clarify what my values were, what I wanted to do, and what my skill set was. I never had that in high school. My poor guidance counselor, Mr. Judy, God rest his soul, he was a nice man, but just not, didn't really. Well, anyway, I would seek advice from people in industry and other places, definitely, because they will help you understand yourself. Okay, I didn't speak to anybody. I barely spoke to the high school guidance counselor. I didn't speak to anybody when I got to Kentucky because I didn't know who to go talk to. I just didn't know. I'm sure there were people there that would have guided me, but I don't know who they were. So I didn't know what to do after college. I didn't get a job. Nobody offered me a job. I got 0 job offers my senior year of after a electrical engineering degree. And so I didn't know what to do. So I just went on to college again. I went and got a master's degree because I figured, well, if I just delay this, somebody will want somebody with a master's. And I got out with that, and I picked Greenville to move to. And all these were my decisions. I didn't talk to anybody about this. I didn't ask for guidance. I probably should have. And I just moved to Greenville, and I started trying to look for jobs, and I got one offer. So I took it. And fortunately, I was led, and that's where I was for a long time. But seek advice. Don't be afraid to ask for advice. If you see an adult, ask them, can I have your advice? Can you give me some advice about your career or your career decisions? And believe me, adults love to give their advice. So you may want to get you a cup of water, or Coke, coffee, or whatever, and sit back and try to take it all in.
Well, I've already said that about my first wife. So here's what else I would do. And I actually teach this in the personal finance class. It's not part of the curriculum. It's not in the textbook, but I tell them the importance of a prenuptial agreement, which is so, I tell them, as much as you love them, trust me, you definitely want to do that. And it does work pretty well. I do wish, though, I was in your situations today. I wish I had a panel that would sit up here and tell me and give me all of this great advice that you're able to get. You may not realize it now, but if you're a sponge right now absorbing all of this knowledge, you're so far ahead of the game. So it's listening to people like Walt was alluding to, listening to people, adults, and asking them, because we've got opinions. And we'll tell you what the stumbling blocks we had. If they're being honest with you, they'll tell you. And almost all of us, I'd say 95% of us fail. So it happens. So absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Prenups. Okay. That's the lawyer table over there. All right. If we could pick one thing that you would suggest they focus on right now, and I know that's going to vary based on career paths and things, but if there was one thing they should focus on, what do you think it is?
I think my advice would come not from me personally, but from the position I'm in as a faculty member at a college who's worked with so many people who are going to college and are in college for so long. When you are choosing what to do after high school, there are things that we tend to look at, is this a party school or not a party school? And do they have a football team? And all of these things, right? And for a lot of people, what you do there in the environment is kind of secondary. I would say, based on what I have seen over the years, look at what you want to do. Think about not just the skills you want to get, the knowledge you want to get, but the type of person you are and where you're going to thrive. I learned that I was a big fish in a little pond kind of person for school, not the other way around. I thrived there. I felt more confident. I tried things. It worked for me. So don't just think about the rankings, but think about who you are and where you're comfortable. When you go visit schools, email a faculty member who does something that's interested in what you want to do and ask if you can meet with them. They love that. You're not going to bother them. See if you feel comfortable there. See if you feel like you'd be comfortable working with them. And that's something I don't see many people doing. So maybe something to think about.
Some things to think about. First of all, whatever you do, whether it's going to school or a career or anything like that, there's some key things that you need to do. And this will account for about 80, sometimes 90% of your success. Number one, show up and show up on time. Okay. Be presentable. Okay. So if you're going to be an attorney, maybe you want to wear suit and tie. I probably wouldn't wear this if I was going to be some other type of field, maybe a healthcare worker. Okay. So show up on time, be presentable, and do the work. Whether you're in school or you're working for somebody, do the work. Don't be like me and wait on my buddy to do the work and do what he did, because that won't get you very far. I can attest to that. I didn't really know what I was doing. Do the work, show up on time, and be presentable.
You said one thing, I've got two words, okay? The first one would be focus. Whatever you're working on, focus on your education, focus on doing well in classes. That's number one. The second one would be excellence. Everything you do it with excellence. I want to be the best I can be at everything I do. And that's every single class. If you're a sports person, playing that sports. If you're writing methods and procedures, that's making sure that it's all correct, writing your resume, making sure there's no errors in it. All of that stuff is with excellence. So focus and excellence would be the two words that I would suggest.
Can we give a round of applause to our panelists? They've done a great job. Great job, everyone. Thank you. I do quickly want to say I did a career day myself at a local newspaper, and the key takeaway for me from that experience was I asked the guy a question, and he wound up calling I questioned something he wrote, and he wound up calling my teacher the next week and saying, would she like to come after school and start working at the newspaper? And lo and behold, a career was born. So I tell you that story only to say you have opportunities today to get phone numbers or emails from people. You have an opportunity today to ask questions as you break up into these groups. Ask the questions. You just don't know what can happen when you kind of get past your intimidation and imposter syndrome and speak up and let people know what you're thinking and what you want to know. Get your answers today. You have an amazing opportunity, and I hope you have a really good time. Thank you.
Thank you again to Amy and all of our panel members. I do have to confess, I was today years old when I learned the little trick for figuring out what side my drink and my bread are on the table. So thank you for that, Albert. And I also didn't have a prenup, but I don't think we had any assets at that age. So it doesn't really matter, fortunately. Show my standard slide at the end here. Remember our big four. We need you all, please, to sign up and volunteer, help out with Kringle. We're starting again. We've already had a couple of meetings. Bring somebody to discover Rotary. We've had pretty good turnout lately, but we would like our membership goal is within strike. I say that because our district membership chair is Albert, who's joined us here today. So I need Albert to know we're still working on this and we're close to our goal. Get involved in our club. We've got a lot of things coming up. And last but not least, try and have a little bit of fun. So with that said, would you please join me in our four-way test? Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
These groups will be leaving the ballroom. Architecture and, thank you. Architecture and construction will go to DP3 Architects. Scott Powell, the lead host, meet near check-in out here. Scott, I think each of the facilitators has a sign. Yeah. So go with Scott. Arts AV Communications are going to go to Channel 7 with Amy Randall and Amy Wood. Amy Randall has a sign. She's over here. Business Management is going to go to Center Stage. Laura Nicholas will be the lead facilitator for that. And Laura's got a sign. Why don't you meet at the right of the podium? Yeah, this is your right. The Law Cluster will go to Weiss Law Firm. Please meet at the left of the podium. Wade should be here with a sign. STEM, Jeremy Hart is going to lead, and Jeremy's here. You're going to walk over to the Greenville Symphony Orchestra's boardroom, meet near the check-in, or you may already be together. Staying in the Westin, but leaving the ballroom are hospitality, which are going to meet with Fabian at the back of the room. Human services are going to meet with Beth Pageant and Chris Rigby. You're going to go up the mezzanine over here. Thomas Sanders is going to be the lead host for the information technology. You're going to go to the Francis Marion room. So why don't you meet at this back left corner? Everybody else is going to stay in the room. Agriculture will be with Elizabeth Razor. Education and training will be with Derek Lewis. Finance, Lisa is the lead host. Government and Public Administration, George Fletcher's your lead host. Marketing, David Slade is here. And Undecided, Rashidi Green is the lead host. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here at 3 o'clock.